Hello. Hello. Looks like we've got 4 people so far. We might give people time to show up. Oh, we've got 8 people. Great. I know my bot in my server would have alerted people that there's a new video, but they wouldn't have told people what the video is. So I've just got to go post the link to this stream real quick. Share this link, copy video link. Okay. Oh, I'm surprised the bot didn't do anything. When I accidentally started streaming as a practice thing. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for showing up, Drowning Devil. Yeah, we're just gonna wait a little bit, give people time to show up. I've got my tea with me because it's kind of early in the morning, so I need my tea to wake me up. Okay, 9 people. Nice. Do-do-do. Okay, we've got 10 people. Hi. Carpathia, is that how I pronounce your name? Watching what? Great, awesome. I'll try not to distract you too much, but I make no promises. Yeah, that was just a message from my friend Nat. I don't know why the bot isn't doing its thing. I'm just gonna tag everyone. Or wait, there's the event squad, event notifications in my server. That way I don't have to tag everyone and annoy everyone. Okay. 11 people. Welcome, welcome. We've got a few people. Oh, hi, Regent of Chaos. Hi. Literally outline. What's the one shot about? What's everyone's fix that they're working on today? Let me know. Thank you. I usually have like a mug that I use. How to Train Your Dragon villain hiccup. I think I was saying just yesterday how my younger sibling was actually a big fan of the Rise of the Brave Tangled Dragons, and in particular loved Hiccup and Jack as a ship. K-pop Demon Hunters! Oh my god, that's so cool. Oh, I loved K-pop Demon Hunters. It feels like everything my teenage self wanted. Like, I went through a K-pop and K-drama, just in general Koreaboo phase back in high school. I still do. Ooh, canon rewrite, nice. Yeah, I went, yeah, but I went through like a Koreaboo phase back in high school. I still, like, I think anyone who keeps up with like the food channel in my server. Oh, Marauders fic, nice. I think anyone who keeps up with like the food channel in my server knows that I like to cook a lot of Korean dishes. So yeah, I still need to post like the picture of the new noodle soup I made yesterday. Okay. My friend just messaged me saying he might not be able to join the stream today. Oh well. Arty party, you were in my thoughts. Any faves Korean dishes? I think my all-time favorite is I wish I remember the actual name of it, but it's the Korean fried chicken that's specifically coated in like the sweet and spicy gochujang sauce. But lately I've just enjoyed making anything with gochujang in it. I love gochujang so much. Settling down for bed soon. Ooh, nice. One shot about Darkwing and the Flash. Awesome. I myself have been working on rewriting, I think, one of my poorest written arcs in my current story, but I think I'm improving it to be much better, which is great. Why am I, oh, right, I was going to show you the dish I was making. Okay, the dish I made yesterday. Beware of my cracked screen. Okay, so I made the gochujang noodle soup yesterday, but this time added some mandu. Oh, what's a hurt comfort fic? So a hurt comfort fic is something where, basically if a character goes through some kind of pain, the fic focuses on another character or characters comforting them. I do actually have a video script that's almost finished. I'm still just stuck on the hurt comfort section in particular, and it's basically a video called Trashing Fanfiction Tropes I Love, and one of them is hurt comfort, and I'm just a little stuck on it because I'm trying to find resources that talk about how there's sometimes a bias in who gets to be comforted and who does the comforting in those fics that I want to acknowledge. Oh, you're rewriting some of your old stuff too. Great. Yeah, by your past pantser self. Yeah, for me, it wasn't my past pantser self that was to blame. It was the fact that I was adapting a video game dungeon without considering the fact that, like, it feels too video gamey and not like a natural part of the world building. And also, it's when I introduce like this one original character who I swear has just kind of been. I feel like he tends to be more annoying than how I want him to be, but I've been coming up with ways to introduce him in a way that makes him feel more fleshed out and sympathetic and threatening, kind of, as well. So yeah. Oh, oh, oh my God! Congratulations, Samantha. Great job. Yes, your comment gave me a good chuckle because I wanted that particular line about we don't know it doesn't explain who these two guys are, where they are, or why they're kissing. We already know it's Dean and Castiel and Superhell. I've never actually watched Supernatural myself, but obviously I like to know about its fandom history because of how, like, Supernatural history is basically fandom history. The same thing with yeah. Same thing is with Harry Potter. That makes things kind of complicated. Is like Harry Potter fandom history is also fandom history itself. Which, in light of J.K. Rowling's like turf crusade, it makes it difficult to talk about. Yeah, so much stuff interconnects between fandoms for sure. I think we've given enough people enough time to show up, so I'm gonna get into the stream. So I've just gotta find in my notes app the particular thing. Okay, so where are you? There you are. Okay, so welcome, fellow fic writers and fic readers, to my very first live stream. Sorry, there's a plane coming by. To my very first live stream celebrating 10,000 subscribers. Today we are gonna hang out, have a little Q&A, do one of my favorite boredom busters, which is the random plot generator. However, before we get into that, I have to acknowledge that streaming on this platform on this particular day is inseparable from a few important issues that I don't want to be complicit in. So the first, you've probably already heard about YouTube's predatory AI that's flagging users as sorry, that's our NBN battery crying out. That's flagging users as minors based on their watch history, even if they've already told YouTube they're adults. This is a policy that I really think particularly affects us autistic people, who often our special interests are considered childish or whatever, and we're going to be flagged as minors based on that. And the only way to reverse it, if that AI decides you're a minor, is to submit your ID, which I hope you don't need to. Oh my God. Hi. That's my sibling in the chat now. Hi. Yes, too much Minecraft. Okay. So the only way to reverse being told by being determined that you're a minor by the algorithm is to submit your ID. You don't need me to explain why that's a major security risk and huge breach of privacy, but I have linked a petition in the description that still hasn't reached its goal of 150,000 signatures, so please sign that if you haven't already. My sibling calling me stinky. If Hazel Curl says anything kind of mean and stuff, just know it's all in good fun. They said they were going to come on here and be a hater. Yeah, you tried making a new YouTube channel, but the choice thing is annoying. You don't. Yeah. I'm keeping an eye out for alternate platforms, but so far none of them seem any good. But if I'm gonna be here, I'm not gonna be quiet about some of the shit. Cora was warned. Yes, I was warned. Thank you, Hazel. The second thing I need to acknowledge was that I actually planned to run a super thanks campaign where if we reached it, I would read to you the first 4.5 pages of the next script I'm filming, defending fanfiction tropes I hate. I'm hoping to film it later today, but it's possible that some of Hazel Curl's own plans may conflict with that. Yeah, we're all a bit fucked by this policy, aren't we, Ada? But anyway, however, there is currently an international economic strike happening every Thursday until Palestine is free. That means no buying anything on Thursdays in order to send a message to corporations and economic power structures all across the world. I've put a link in the description so you can learn more about what this economic strike is and why it's important. It's Friday for me, so I don't have to strike today, but I know it's currently Thursday for a lot of you. So I've decided to turn off super thanks. I've turned off all the monetization features for this stream, and instead I want to highlight the Samia project, which is a campaign that provides life-saving medical care to the people in Gaza. So, let me just go to the campaign page because I'll need to keep it open for a... Come on, let me find it. Okay, so I've decided that instead of doing like that super thanks campaign today, I wanted to highlight the Samia project, which is a campaign that provides life-saving medical care to the people in Gaza. And I think that if 10 people donate within the next hour, which I will be able to see from the public campaign page, I will read to you the first 4.5 pages of defending fanfiction tropes I hate. Yes, even I will be counting any donations that happen in the next hour, even from people who aren't watching this stream. That means if you share this campaign right now, especially with anyone who you know has the means to donate, you are increasing the chance that we meet this goal, but it'll happen even faster if you donate yourself. Thanks for bearing with me. I know we're here to have fun together, but I hope you can see why these issues are related to this stream and why I had to acknowledge them regardless of the content I have planned. But now we can finally focus on what we're here to celebrate. Cora Maria, Write Your Dream Fanfiction, has reached 10,000 subscribers. Okay, let's take a moment to applause and clap while I write down who the latest donor on the campaign was. So the latest donor on Project Samir was anonymous 35 minutes ago. So that way I'll count every donation that happens from then on. Okay, and I'll just set a timer for 1 hour. To check back in with that later on. Wait, no, I just set that for 1 minute. Never mind. Okay, cancel. Excuse me. I promise I know how to use my phone. Okay. Yeah, oh my god, yes, I know. 10K is like 10 times the size of my primary school, so I'm just imagining like my school assemblies from primary school and timing that by 10. Yeah. Yes, 10K stinkies. You're all stinkies is dubbed by my sibling. I don't know, have you subscribed, Hazel? So, yeah. W stinkies, yes. Okay. So new time was quicker in Australia than the US, but that's a quick time. Yeah. Oh, good on you for doing the dishes, Samantha. But yeah, you've arrived just in time. We're gonna like actually go into the stream proper. I've been streaming for 17 minutes, and I haven't even started doing a Q&A or like the random plot generator. So the way I'm thinking we'll structure this stream is, oh, you'll have to leave for dinner. We'll miss you. Okay, how about this? We'll start the Q&A. Samantha, do you want to try and ask the first question so I can get it out of the way? I'm opening it up to you first. How long will I stream? I'm going to stream until 9 a.m., which means this stream will be 2 hours long in total. Oh, thank you. It's actually my ring light. My ring light. I'm glad you think. Yeah, this was an answer to it's. Oh, doing my hair favors today. Thank you. I remember what. Ah! Sorry, my tea was about to spill on me. I don't have much desk room because I've got to make room for my ring light. Do we submit anywhere or take turns in chat? I'd say just submit your questions in the chat and I will answer it. Do I write one-shots? I do. I write more chapters of long fic than I write one-shots, which is why a lot of my videos tend to be long fic focused because that takes most of my focus. But I do like to write one-shots from time to time, particularly for The Legend of Zelda. But I remember sorry, I've just got to fix the thing and try not to. I don't have much desk room here. Oh my god. Baby's first stream. Where, but yeah, I do like to write one shots sometimes. I end up I'm less reliable at finishing my one shots than I am at finishing my long fics, actually. Yeah. Where do I find all my clothes and accessories? That is a very good question. So these ear cuff things I got from a convention store. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a store in the Artist Alley at Oz Comic Con last year. This headband is from a brand called Clean the Label, which upcycles a lot of fabric scraps and stuff, and this is actually made out of fabric scraps. The hat and a lot of my berets, like half of my berets, are from Eleni the Label. I absolutely love them. This necklace is from Kawaii Aesthetics Shop. This necklace is from Hello Little Friday. These earrings, I think I just got at a market store but I forgot what the brand was, and the dress is DOWK, or Dork. Most people don't know how to pronounce it, and I actually personally know the designer, and even she doesn't have a standard way on how she pronounces it. And then another brand you've probably seen me wear a lot is Lucy and Yak, which, if you want colorful stuff, definitely check out their website when it's spring and summer in the northern hemisphere, because that's usually when they have all the fun colorful stuff, whereas if it's winter and autumn in their hemisphere, that's when they have the neutrals in. And then this turtleneck I just found at an op shop recently, so I'm less reliable than finishing my one-shots than my long fics. Congrats on being probably the first person on the planet to say this. Yeah, I know. It's one of those things that makes me less relatable. Okay, question. Do I have a favorite fandom, game, or show to write about? Twilight Princess, hands down. I mean, you see in my background, okay, I'm mirror image. Yeah, you see Minna and Link's sprites there. You see the Triforce there. But yeah, I absolutely love writing Twilight Princess fan fiction. Legend of Zelda in general was the first fandom I truly wrote for. Well, technically my first ever fan fiction was like a Fruits Basket fan fiction that didn't last more than a chapter. I actually ended up posting it on fanfiction.net. I didn't know how to select the fandoms properly, and it had a thing where you couldn't just search for your specific fandom. You had to scroll through every single fandom in the anime and manga tag, and I accidentally put it in a different fandom than it was actually supposed to be. What's my favorite type of theme to write? So for example, romance, action, hurt, comfort, womp. I don't know if I can choose. Maybe romance. I do love writing ship fic. But the thing is, I also like to get cracky from time to time. But I think part of why I love writing long fics is it's much easier to do all of it. I can choose everything, which I know, like, I can include the romance, I can include the action. Well, I hate writing action scenes, but I love writing stories that necessitate a lot of action scenes. Like, I hate writing action scenes, but I hate not writing action scenes even more, is the thing. Of course I love hurt comfort. I do love womp, but I mostly like plot with my womp, if that makes sense. The fanfic you're working on your first fanfiction, Samantha. So exhausted, deaf, hyperfixating too. Oh, that is a mood. Oh, you've never heard of Twilight Princess, Mr. Curious? Part of me can't tell if you're being sarcastic because I talk about it in basically every video. But yeah, Twilight Princess, my favorite video game of all time, my favorite piece of media of all time, my very first Zelda game, that basically started everything that led to this moment right here, me being on stream. Yeah, the butterfly effect that game has had on my life is honestly huge. It is huge. And I actually, as a reward to myself for this live stream, bought myself a Wii U and Twilight Princess HD so I could play it again, because we ended up trading in our Wii U and our Twilight Princess copy to get the Switch and Breath of the Wild. And then I got a copy of Twilight Princess HD for my housemate when his Wii U was here, and then he's now moved out, so I can't play it anymore. But I am pestering him to keep playing it. I am pestering him to play it. Okay, you are being serious? Oh, 2 videos of mine. That's okay. That's okay. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where I just know that like 2 minutes of talking to me means that you will know that I adore Twilight Princess. 10 minutes of talking to me, you will find out you will hear me rant about how the Legend of Zelda series lately keeps leaning into its pro-imperialist themes, and I'm like, can this franchise stop being so racist and stuff? So yeah. Oh, you posted for the first time on AO3 yesterday? You were this. Let's give Shani, is that how it's pronounced? Let's give Shani a round of applause for posting on AO3 for the first time. And yes, Arisnal action scenes are difficult to choreograph. Okay then. I don't know if you can ask more questions, but how long is a typical chapter in fanfic writing? I do actually have a video about this. I mean, I'd only be able to know by like actually going into stats and stuff. Chapter lengths are one of those things people really disagree about. But for me, my rule is it has to be something someone can realistically read in a single setting. 23 years. I was about to say I'm 26 and then I remembered, oh wait, you're like younger than me. So yeah, a chapter is something that should be something that you're able to read in a single sitting. So that's why I'm like, please don't make your chapters longer than 10,000 words. Not only like is it harder for someone to read that much in a single sitting, it is also, I've heard people complain about how it can cause loading issues on mobile to have chapters or one-shots that are longer than 10,000 words. I mean, I don't remember your birth, Hazel. Yeah. And the other thing about chapter lengths is it's one of those things that honestly varies depending on the type of fic you're writing. So if you're writing like, say, slice of life, your chapters are often quite short. Whereas if you're writing like, say, an epic with lots of world building and stuff, your chapters are going to be longer to have to account for all that world building and yeah. It's one of those things that depends. But like I said, I have a whole video about how long your chapters should be, so you'll probably get better answers there. Okay then, which fics get more traction? And do you think it's better to follow that in some capacity or write what you like? Burned by low engagement on your genfic. Yeah, unfortunately, it does seem like genfic just isn't as popular. For anyone who doesn't know, genfic are fics that focus on non-romantic relationships. So, you know, parent-child, sibling relationships, friendships, maybe even like enemy relationships. That counts as gen, because gen is short for general. However, I think genfics, they can still be popular. But honestly, the only way to really write fics that get a lot of traction is to write in big fandoms and write the popular tropes and pairings and headcanons. And I think if you like to write about that, you can, but if you don't want to, it is better to focus on what you want to focus on. Another thing that struggles to gain traction are fics that focus on original characters. Which is a bit of a shame for, I know a lot of people who love writing OC-centric fics. And, you know, sometimes OC-centric fics can still get popular. Like, I think Fallout Equestria is an incredibly famous My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fanfic that does focus primarily on a cast of original characters. So yeah. So I'd say focus on what you want to focus on and focus, but still definitely look at it from the perspective of why are people not interested in this and how could I maybe get them to be a bit more interested, I guess, which, yeah. In terms of like the OC bias, I think it's just like the anti-OC bias, the bias towards canon characters. Excuse me. I think that's just one of those things where we kind of just have to accept that it is a feature of the medium of fan fiction to focus on and care more about canon characters, because that's why a lot of us read fan fiction, is because we want more of our favorite characters from canon, and we like to read stories about characters that we are already attached to. Whereas when it comes to original characters in fan fiction, you actually have to build that attachment from the beginning. And, you know, yeah, it's just tricky. Okay. Auden's your hometown. Okay. You started posting a couple of months ago, Mr. Curious, but you've only posted 2 short fics back in May. That's still progress, Mr. Curious. Okay, then. Any published books you've been wanting to rec? One of my favorite, well, obviously I enjoyed Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins very, very much. Absolutely loved it. I also, like, a book I've read recently that is now one of my all-time favorites is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. He wrote The Martian, and Project Hail Mary is actually getting a movie adaptation next year. But Project Hail Mary, I need to make this so clear. I want you to go into that book as blind as possible. Go into it as blind as possible. Don't even watch the trailer for the movie. Don't find out anything more about it except for the blurb itself. Okay? Just go into it blind. You will thank me. It is amazingly done. It's a huge, I love The Martian, but it's a huge, huge improvement on The Martian. Well, not huge. It's a great improvement on The Martian, and a huge, huge improvement on his other book, Artemis, which is a heist that takes place on the moon. I still liked that book, but it didn't feel as strong as like some of his others. Oh, you're welcome, A. Okay, then. Yeah, it is rough out there for you jam writers. Write what you want first. If you focus on numbers, you are going to get burnt out, even if you get big numbers, because it starts to feel like a chore. As for practical advice, summaries do a lot of the heavy lifting. Yes, they do. And the other thing that I think is also super important is that when people do comment on your fic, make sure you respond. You know, like, what I really focus on is my goal isn't to help you become big name fans in your fandoms, because I'm not really a big name fan in my fandom, I'd say, because my fandom's in its twilight days, so I don't think it's, yeah, there's not much room to become a big name fan, but I have definitely written what is several people's favorite fanfics, you know? And what I have focused on is making sure that I have like good relationships with my existing readers, so that they do keep coming me back and telling me their thoughts and everything like that. So you don't need to have lots of you don't need to focus on numbers. You need to focus on relationships. So yeah, your chat keeps getting errors. Oh, I don't know why that is. Yeah, this is my first time streaming, so I don't know, but I haven't seen any errors on my end, at least. How do you decide when to start a new chapter in writing, and what advice do you have for new writers who often feel stuck in writing? Oh, okay. Oh, maybe by errors you meant typos? Okay. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you love my videos and found them helpful. No, you're fine, Mr. Curious. This is good. Okay. So in terms of how do you start a new chapter in writing, and what advice would you have for new writers who often feel stuck in writing? I'll tackle that last part first. The best thing you can do if you ever feel stuck with writing is a technique called rubber ducking. This is something that coders use, where basically you have a rubber duck or a colleague or, I don't know, a plushie or a cat, and you explain your code to that rubber duck. And in the process of explaining it, often you figure out what it is about the code that isn't working. You can do the same thing as a writer. Okay, you can get a soft toy or a cat. In fact, where's my cat? Where's April? She hasn't come over to annoy me. I wanted to introduce her. Yeah, so how I tend to rubber duck is sometimes I'll call a friend of mine and say, hey, can I rubber duck this with you? Or another thing I'll often do is I'll open a notes app and title it rubber ducking, insert thing I'm stuck on here. Yes, I'll get her in a moment after I've answered these questions. So, or maybe she'll come over herself. She's not annoying me because I fed her breakfast. So yeah, so with rubber ducking, what I'll often do is I'll start a new note in my notes app, title it rubber ducking, insert whatever it is I'm struggling with here, and then I just write about the problem, stream of consciousness, and usually eventually it'll sort itself out. So stream of consciousness means you just write down any thoughts as they come to you. And yeah, that's a really great way to get unstuck if you're feeling stuck. As for how do I decide when to start a new chapter in writing, there's a lot of different ways that I decide that. So obviously, like, length is a factor for me. So if I feel like a chapter is getting a bit long, then I'll probably think, okay, I'm probably going to break it around this point, usually whenever there's a scene break anyway. Obviously, if I think something would make a great cliffhanger, I don't use cliffhangers too much, but I do like to use cliffhangers. Excuse me. What else? Often if I feel like there's some kind of satisfying ending, like maybe there was a chapter conflict where, I don't know, this miscommunication arises, and I know people don't like the miscommunication trope, but like, bear with me, where specifically it's the kind of miscommunication where they both think that they're on the same page about something, but the chapter maybe starts with them realizing that one of them has actually misunderstood the other, and that kind of causes a bit of a fallout, and then the chapter ends when they finally get to have that conversation, sorting it out, and they come to a new understanding about each other. Or even like if between scenes you end up going to a different setting. So let's say I have one chapter that takes place on a mountain, but I know the very next scene starts in a village. I'll put that chapter break between the when the characters are on the mountain and when the characters are in the sunny green village, if that makes sense. Oh, I thought that was my cat there, but it was just me moving in like this mirror I keep on hand to check my appearance when I'm filming. But yes, I shall now go get the cat. Mm-hmm. Hazel, hype up the cat. This is April. Yeah, no, she doesn't want to be held right now. Let me, she's in my lap at the moment. Let me see if I can, yeah? Oh, she doesn't want to be on stream right now. I don't know. I was hoping she was going to annoy me and start jumping on my desk and everything. But yeah, that's April. She's a senior cat. She's probably old enough to get a driver's license. Sorry, NBN. But she's like, the camera, get away. Yeah. when I filmed my last video, she didn't even try to interrupt me while filming, and I'm like, but I need the views. Then meanwhile, in the last video I posted, the Mary Sue video, you know, my housemate's cat showed up and was being annoying, and for privacy reasons I couldn't show that cat on screen. Yeah, it's just a friend of mine who you know, is very wary of being doxxed and wants to have as little information about who he is as much as possible, because yeah, he is a part of like a few marginalized identities that people unfairly target. So yeah. But April, I can show her on camera. She just doesn't want to be on camera. But yeah, she's a senior cat. She's got some she had to have some of her teeth removed. We think she might have some arthritis as well, which is probably why she didn't like being held all that much. And yeah, she is very sweet, very cuddly, very clingy, but also she does very much, she's not afraid to establish her boundaries by biting you or giving you a scratch. So yeah, she's a cat you've got to respect. All right then. So I think this is a good time for us to take a break in the Q&A, and we're going to do our first random plot generator. So also just a reminder, keep donating to Project Samia. Okay, so how many people have donated? Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people who have donated in the last hour. So we need 4 more donors. Let me just go to random plot generator, and then I'll share my screen so we can select a genre. I'm sure Hazel Curls is groaning. Is Hazel Curls still in the chat? Because Hazel Curls hates how much I love this thing. Oh, audio changed. How so? Can you still hear me? Maybe it's because I don't know, is it? What does glyph mean? Wait, when did I say glyph? Okay. Oh, wait, I didn't say glyph. Sorry, excuse my lack of reading comprehension. Or GIF. Why did I say glyph? Oh, I know why I said GIF. Someone in the chat did. Yeah, I'm not paying enough attention, sorry. Okay, so I should be able to share my screen. I couldn't figure out how to do it yesterday at first, but I did figure it out eventually. So yeah, hopefully it'll allow that. Okay, share this window. Coreception. Oh, insult. Don't everyone. But yeah, here's the random plot generator. So I told you the plot generator itself is not AI. I think it is using some AI pictures though, which I am not a big fan of. But anyway, this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a blurb. So we need to pick a genre, and the genres are freestyle, line by line, romance, fantasy, paranormal romance, crime, domestic noir, horror, mystery, science fiction, dystopian, vampire, Bronte sisters, summertime, or smelly trolls. So which genre are we picking? Into the core of us. So you can suggest genres, which genre you want in the chat right now. Paranormal romance. I'll keep it up here. And I wonder, can I access the chat on my phone so I can keep this on screen? And also, yeah, I didn't think this part through. I really should have done that. Yeah. I'm gonna log in. Okay, I'm going into my own. I'm just gonna turn my sound down so that I don't hear the live stream. I want to go to my channel. Okay. Oh, April, are you gonna come back? No? I heard a bell. Okay, I'm live, going into my own live stream on mobile. Okay, how do I look at the chat? Where's the chat? Oh, I don't know how to view the chat of my own stream. It's because I'm not using the... Can I access it through Creator Studio? I've got to download the... I'm so sorry. I'm not being very professional right now. Okay, just downloading the Creator app. Okay, so paranormal, romance, domestic noir, fantasy or romance. Noir is like detective kind of stuff. Okay. I think most of you want paranormal romance, so we're going to go with that. Okay. So now we need different words. So who's going to be our hapless human? You can put your suggestions in the chat. You can just, unfortunately, it doesn't let you select genders other than male or female, but yeah. I'll give some time for that while I figure out if I can go into live. Okay, it doesn't let me. Oh, God. Okay. I don't know. We'll roll as much as we can. Maybe it might actually be better if I stop sharing my screen, because then you don't see me switch back and forth, and it means that you're blind to when I first reveal what it looks like, and you can only find out what it is when I dramatically read. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Tiffany Lee, okay. Henry Jensen. Maybe I'll area. Yeah, with fanfic. Yeah, I know, but this is a monetized channel that I am trying to grow. Well, today's stream isn't monetized, so maybe I'm a little bit off the hook. Yeah, how about we go with Tiffany Jensen? So I'll combine Drowning Devil and Mr. Curious's ideas. And then what gender is Tiffany? I mean, if we make Tiffany a male, then it would be like a reference to Sword Art Online Abridged. So Tiffany from Sword Art Online Abridged. Name them after colors. Okay, so the dangerously attractive paranormal love interest, Chartreuse. Or should Chartreuse be the surname? Okay, what should Mr. Miss Mix's name be? First name be? It's approaching midnight. Oh, bye, Ada. Thank you for joining us. Chartreuse. Okay, let's go with that. Chartreuse. And is Chartreuse a male or a female? Oh, I can actually generate a link to the final thing that I can share in the chat so you can revisit it. Okay, we're doing non-binary. Unfortunately, it doesn't let us choose non-binary. But I'm seeing female. Like, honestly, we don't have enough dangerous female love interests in het romances, so I think this is a win. What species is the love interest? I know, it is so lame that there's no non-binary option. I know, so yeah, someone said make it gay. I don't know, maybe it could still be gay. Maybe Tiffany is a he, him lesbian. Oh yeah, you can once we've done the you can ask me for fixed advice. So we're doing a zombie. You can ask me for fic advice once we've and done the first random plot generator. So we're doing zombie. I don't need to capitalize it. Okay, 2 features of this love interest. I want us to go out there. Like, I don't want it to be something that is typically found in a zombie. I'm seeing someone say dragon. What's like the funniest feature of a dragon you could put on a zombie? Horns. I think we could go weirder than horns. You're about to kill one of your faves. Do it, coward. Do it. Bagpipe. Plays the bagpipe. We'll get there. We're not. I don't think we can. Maybe bagpipe horns. How about that? Okay, we need a second feature of this love interest. Goat legs. Chartreuse with bagpipe horn, a zombie with bagpipe horns and goat legs. The species of a sworn enemy. What would be the funniest enemy for a zombie? Especially since this is a paranormal romance, so I'm like, wouldn't it be great if the enemy species was just something you'd find in a kids show? A clown? A mothman? I think we'd be able to use clown somewhere else. Oh, relative of the protagonist, clown of the protagonist. Mothman. Or we could make it Mothwoman. Okay, she can be a cryptid too. A type of accident, flying, hit and run, unfortunate. I want something funnier. Okay, what's the funniest possible accent? Hi, Ashley! Hi, I'm glad you could make it. Okay, we need some kind of accident. So we need a kind of accident, and we want it to be a funny accent. Slipping on a banana peel, that's a classic. Fell off a unicycle. Oh my god. Okay, I need to do a poll now. Slipped on an ice cube. I need to do a poll. Can I do a poll? I haven't tested the poll feature. Start a poll. What type of accident? Fell off a unicycle. Fell up a flight of stairs. Oh my god, so many great options. I'm starting a poll. How does it let me view the poll? I don't know. Does everyone see the poll? Because I see a thing, but I don't. I don't know. I should have checked if this was working. I can't do all of the above. I think I'll go. Okay, I see the poll, but I can't see the poll myself, which means I can't see poll results. I don't know. I'll go with fell up a flight of stairs. Or falling up a flight of stairs, because it's got to be in present tense. Okay then, an adjective that could be used to describe an object. Slippery, yeah. We could also bring back fire breathing that someone suggested for another thing. Oily. Oh, I like oily. Greasy. I like oily more. I think oily is a bit funnier. 3 adjectives to describe someone. Toasty. Little rule for if you want to write anything humorous, hard consonant words help. Smiley. Gay. Yeah, I think we've got to put gay in here somewhere. I'll do it specifically in caps just for you, Samantha. Lame, scary, smelly, musty. I like musty. An activity. Dancing, singing, or biting people. Are there suggestions? Come on, give me suggestions. What's an activity that we could include? Crocheting. Oh, I like crocheting. Biting ankles, biting people. Biting people, I think, is backflipping or unicycling. We could bring back the unicycling from before. Boot tossing. Okay. I do like ankle biting because it reminds me of in Aussie slang we call toddlers ankle biters. So I might go with ankle biting. I almost said ankle baiting. Okay then. 2 things a person or creature could do to another. I mean, I might put ankle biting here actually. And then in terms of an activity, I'll make it. Boot tossing. Stabbing. I'd make stabbing something weirder. Licking eyeballs. Okay. I heard this will be grammatically correct at the end. Lick the eyeball. Oh. Okay, we need a weapon. What's a funny weapon? Stealing knees. Licking eyeballs? Yeah, it is kind of gross, but I think it's also kind of funny. Hula hoop. Oh my god, hula hoop is amazing. Okay, something you might feel. This is the last word we need. Happy, alive, uneasy. What's the funniest thing? What's the most random thing someone could feel? Sluggish. I think we can do funnier than sluggish. Depression. I want funny stuff. I don't want because I want you to think what is something that is completely against the tone of paranormal romance. Hyper. Maybe it could be feeling hyper something. Hyper flabbergasted. I love flabbergasted. Flabbergasted's such a funny word. Just so you know, there's no bad suggestions or anything. I just like to push people to get as weird as possible I do love bamboozled. Okay, maybe I like bamboozled a bit more. Okay. And then finally, what's our pen name? Bewildered, disconcerted. Okay, I guess our pen name can be tingling nose hairs. Okay. Write me a paranormal romance plot. Ankle bite of a zombie. A paranormal romance by tingling nose hairs. Tingling nose hairs just makes me think of Chuck Tingle. Tiffany Jensen suspected that something was a little off when his musty clown tried to ankle bite him when he was just 6 years old. Nevertheless, he lived a relatively normal life among other humans. It wasn't until he bumped into the devilishly toasty zombie chartreuse that his life finally began to make sense. However, Chartreuse proved to be gay and seemed to have an unhealthy obsession with boot tossing. Tiffany soon learned that Chartreuse had taken an oath to never lick the eyeball of a human being. When Tiffany's musty clown is injured in a falling up a flight of stairs accident, Tiffany realizes his own life is at risk. Despite Chartreuse's bagpipe horns and goat legs, Tiffany finds himself falling for the zombie. Only fate will decide whether she kills or protects him. One night, a moth woman appears before Tiffany and warns him of a darkness within Chartreuse. The moth woman gives Tiffany the oily hula hoop, the only weapon that can defeat a toasty zombie. Will Tiffany find it in himself to kill the only creature who has ever made him feel truly bamboozled? Hint, yes. And another thing I love about it is it does auto-generated praise. I'll actually share my screen for a bit because it also you're crying out of that's what I want. I'm also just going to share my screen briefly so you can see the share this window. So you can see. Okay then. So this is the cover. I'm assuming this is our zombie love interest. Tingling nose hairs. Okay then. Auto praise for ankle bite of a zombie. Oh my golly gosh, where can I find myself a tasty toasty zombie? Oh please, like a human would ever be able to kill a zombie with an oily hula hoop. Enid Kibler. I didn't like the musty clown at all and was glad when the falling up a flight of stairs accident happened. The blurb spoiled the plot. I don't need to read it now. Zop gloop. So, I'm going to publish this, which will give me a permanent link. And I'm going to share it. Yeah, it's a very right to market cover, isn't it? So I've shared the link there so you can revisit it whenever you like. So yeah, I reckon I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll do a little bit more Q&A and then we'll do another plot generator later on. Flummoxed, I swear, you had so many great suggestions, Ashbury. Yes, very marketable cover. Okay, so we'll do a little bit more Q&A. So if you have any more questions you'd like to ask. Yours truly. Oh, it is fun. Yeah, I love doing it. It's one of those games that's easy to play with people in just a chat because I mean, maybe you do. I'd have to make money off it first. But when did I start writing? It was actually in my well, first of all, it began when I was in grade 1 and learned what the alphabet was. Anyway, but in terms of when I actually started writing as a hobby, Hazel. So in terms of when I actually started writing as a hobby, I think it would have been in grade 9 for me. So that's when I started writing fan fiction. I was actually introduced to fan fiction through a friend of mine who she was writing a Shugo-chara fan fiction, and she would print out chapters at school and let me read them in homeroom. And after a while, she stopped printing it out and just gave me the link to it on fanfiction.net, and I read it over there. And I read it fandom blind because I hadn't watched or read Shugo-chara at that point. And I decided I wanted to do it too. So I tried writing a Fruits Basket fanfiction that didn't go so well. And then I remember this is something that I need you to realize is super rare for me because usually I need a lot of extra time to finish exams. But this was one of the few times where I actually finished the exam early. And in that time, I ended up writing the first long fic that I truly committed to and actually finished, which was for Ocarina of Time. So yeah. Do I like edits, making supernatural edits on Pinterest? I do like edits, but I'm not really in the supernatural fandom, so I don't think I'm the right audience that you're looking for, is the thing. Yes, I have heard about Audra Winter. I don't really want to talk about it because I don't want to talk about book drama. You did the cringe to yourself by being furry. Yes, I accept you for your furriness. You accept me for this. And yeah, sometimes you're raiding my wardrobe for stuff to wear to your furry meets. For stuff to wear with your stuff. Needing extra time for exams getting. Yeah! Processing speed deficiency. Fan editing and fan writing, they both seem hard. Yeah, I don't know much about fan editing. I've made like maybe a few joke posts here and there, but nothing like fancy. Maybe someday I'll do this, but I've had this idea for a while to do a Steven Universe future AMV to Pink Freak by Elliot Lee. I was about to say Elliot Sang, and I'm like, no, that's a different person. But yeah. No, you're so valid, Samantha Sears. I definitely recommend joining maybe like subreddits or Discord servers dedicated to supernatural and just building relationships there and also sharing your edits there. Yeah. What's your process for outlining fics? Do you have any advice for creating outlines? My biggest piece of advice for creating outlines is make them visual. I am so serious, make them visual. In fact, I might actually, okay. Let me go home. I'm trying to think, which of my outlines do I want to screen share? Let them be well, because my best, just bear in mind, I do use a lot of fan art, and I've kind of, I do use a lot of fan art to decorate my outlines, and I don't have sources for all of them. How do I get rid of, I don't want the caption. But my outlines are super visual, okay? Super duper duper visual. So let me share my screen, allow, and then share this window. So I use Milanote, and this is the outline for my current long fic that I am working on. As you can see, very, very visual. And I've decorated it with a lot of official like screenshots and also some fan art. This is something that lovely member of my Discord server, Uno, ended up drawing of my OC Fabian. This is artwork I actually commissioned. Official art, screenshot from the game. Pretty sure this is a screenshot from the game that someone edited to be an icon. Screenshot from Hyrule Warriors. Another icon that I think was made from official art, and this is someone's fan art. Screenshot from the game, screenshot from the game. So yeah, I don't have sources for all of this, but this is fan art. And basically what I've done is, you know, this is kind of the overview of the series. My three main characters, my three villains, two worlds, what kind of perspective I'm telling the story in. And then it's structured like a trilogy. So you've got 3 books. And then this is where you see my world building. I've done barely anything for Hyrule here. This is just a template that I've barely fleshed out. But this one, I have fleshed out. So we barely see any of the Twilight Realm, and I ended up having to world build it myself. So that's what I did. And then I haven't put a lot of writing in them. I just put a lot of visuals, a lot of visual references for what I thought it could look like, and the structure. Silver Province. Okay, it's like basically it's these giant floating forests that look like tumbleweeds. So, shut up, NBN. Light invasion, Twilight culture. So, their history, their political alignments, their magic system, a little bit about their architecture, gender identity. So basically, it's a culture where they raise their children as gender neutral. I remember where this is from. These are a few panels from a fan comic called Growing Up Gerudo, where Ganondorf raises Link. And Midna and Link are dating in that one, which is a fun bonus. Clothing references, courtship customs that are now kind of outdated because I don't end up using them. So that's the Twilight Realm. And then in terms of my outlines, you can use your outlines to track so much, like genuinely so much. Like this is what it's a big one. It has a lot to cover. I don't recommend bothering with trying to add like these kinds of backgrounds because it ends up being kind of annoying to repeat it and stuff. You can't change the background yourself. But yeah, this is the outline of book 1, which is all done and posted. And basically, again, I usually use some piece of fan art or a screenshot of the game as a visual. I have chapter titles. I also color coded the top of each of these columns because I wanted to keep track of like what state the sky is in throughout this particular book, because that's something that's quite plot relevant. So if it's daytime, it's this kind of light blue. If it's nighttime, particularly if it's the eternal night that's happening, the perpetual night that's happening, it's this dark blue. If they're in the perpetual twilight, it's this orange. And then if they're in the perpetual daylight, it's this light gray. So yeah, because the whole plot of my fic, the light invasion, is basically the light spirits, which create the kind of day and night cycle in Hyrule, end up going to the Twilight Realm instead and make it perpetual daylight there. But I wanted to, instead of it be like a blue sky, it's just this blindingly white sky to be more unsettling. And then I have one of these cards for each scene. And I color code them based on like this band at the top is coded to whoever's POV we're in. So we've got green for Link because of his tunic, pink for Zelda, and blue for Midna. And these are drop-down cards. So if you click on them, there's even more text that shows. And then because it's like this beige color, because when I've posted a chapter, I color all the cards in it beige. Whereas like if I've only drafted the chapter, then I make the background color like this kind of gray color. And then if I haven't written that chapter, it has no background color at all and it's just this. And that means that when you zoom out, and look at the whole thing, if I see like maybe these first 8 chapters are beige, and then all the way up to here, between the beige and up to here is like that kind of lighter gray, then that means I've posted 8 chapters of the fic and I've drafted another, 15 chapters of it and have about 15 chapters of backlog, and I still have like, about another 25 or so chapters to draft. And that's kind of a way for me to get the big picture, because that's why I like to outline by making it very visual and using Milanote. I am hoping my first sponsorship ever will be Milanote because I genuinely love it. Custom color, I've just got to do the color picker to fix that. And then I'd also use this to track not just my writing progress, but my editing progress. So you know, I have these checklists which I would do to check all 3 rounds of final edits. So there's the proofread one. It says doc manager because I do my final proofreads in fanfiction.net's doc manager, but I no longer cross post on fanfiction.net. And then my second proofread, I'd actually record myself reading out loud because I was doing a podfic at the time, and then I'd edit the podfic. And often while editing the podfic, I'd catch a few final errors. So yeah, very visual. That's why my big thing, that's how I outline, and that's why I'm like, yeah, that's why I like when we do things visually in outlines. So yeah. Okay. I did answer dealing with writer's block before. I mentioned rubber ducking is the technique that I do when I'm feeling writer's block, where my preferred method of that is you open a notes document and then you just kind of write about the problem you're experiencing in that notes doc, completely stream of consciousness. Like, just explain the problem, write down your thoughts about that problem as they come to you, and usually in the process you think about, you consider, you figure out what the issue is and how to move forward. So the timer just went off. Okay, let me just reload this page. Okay, so from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, if one more person donates to Project Samir, I will share the first 4.5 pages of my next script. Okay. In the meantime, I'll go through a few more of these questions. Okay, accept as a strong one. Yep, we love Steven Universe. Visual, you say? Yes, very visual. No. Oh, you're not allowed to go on Discord, Samantha? Oh, yeah. Oh, are you a minor as well? Because yeah, I know my own server is 18 plus, just because I think there's a lot of things you've got to be very careful about when you run a Discord server that have minors in it. I think it requires a level of care that I'm just not able to do. You have your plot written down on sticky notes on your wall as a visual. Yeah, that's also another great way to go about it. Like, getting visual, being able to see both the bigger picture of your plot and the details is amazing. Boring bulletin point list outline. Yeah, I used to do that too, but I love this new method because it makes it so much easier for me to find whatever it is I need to find. You can take yeah, I know. ADHD. I still haven't taken the battery out of the NBN. You don't write down your plots outside of the actual fanfics. And yeah, I'm the complete opposite. Mine are super planned out. Do I write and draft chapters in chronological order, or do I sometimes go ahead and go back and forth? I do draft in chronological order. I do that because I find that when I draft out of order, usually when I get to something that I've already drafted ahead, it no longer fits the story I'm trying to tell. And I end up having to rewrite it again anyway. I guess the only way I kind of write out of order is when I have to go back and rewrite something. But in terms of the first draft, chronological order all the way. Though I know some people swear by writing out of order and find it works for them really well. And that's why it's always good to experiment with this kind of stuff. Yay, I'm glad you like the advice. Yeah. With plot generator, what is pen name? Okay, so a pen name is actually a publishing industry term where it's the name that an author publishes under. So often the name of an author that you see on the cover of a book often it isn't their real name, it's actually their pen name. And there's a lot of different reasons why people do this. I know for the Rainbow Magic series, it says it's written by Daisy Meadows, but Daisy Meadows is actually like multiple people. So sometimes a pen name is useful when you have a series that's written by multiple people. I hate to bring up J.K. Rowling, but the reason she went by J.K. Rowling instead of Joanne Rowling is because she didn't want to make it obvious that she's a woman writer, because unfortunately a lot of women writers back then, and sometimes even now, end up being overlooked and getting reduced sales because people don't think women can write as well, or they assume that they only write like romance or something. Like, yeah, to be clear, I do not like J.K. Rowling. I think she is an absolutely horrible person, but you know, that still doesn't change the fact that she like chose the pen name she did because in order to avoid industry sexism. And like, you can hate someone for being a TERF while also saying she still doesn't deserve to be a victim of sexism, you know? And honestly, we kind of have pen names too. We just call them our AO3 usernames or our AO3 handles. But yeah, they basically function the same as pen names. And yeah, so the in the random plot generator, when it asks for a pen name, it's basically asking what are we calling the author in this? Okay. Okay, what else? Okay. For your Harry Potter fanfic, you've started adding sticky notes all through the books of how to change your ad. That's a good idea. That's a very good idea, actually. That I might do something similar to that when, like, someday I'd love to do a video essay on why Midna and Link are my favorite ship ever, and I'd probably also cover why the official manga fucked it up. Like, they are canon, but in the worst way. Okay, this is the problem. When you ship men and women together, often your ships do become canon, but in ways where it's poorly written and sucks. Okay, like, you have all these people who are like, please make my queer ships canon, and then you have me who's like, please stop making my straight ships canon. Bye, Samantha. Okay, then. Another reason why one might use a pen name is to try and separate their work by genre to avoid getting fans confused. Not sure I totally understand it though, since that never stopped the Goatly Goon or Chuck Tingle. Like, he's known mostly for his satirical erotica, but he's also done some like actually quite high-end horror novels as well. But you know, his satire and his horror novels do actually cover a lot of the same themes of like queerness and political commentary. So yeah, great point, Ashbury. Yeah, you can get something akin to a pen name from a Sood. Yeah. Any suggestions for someone who struggles to get past chapter 1 of their stories? If you're struggling to get past the first chapter, I think you need to do a thought dump. So if you can't get past a first chapter, chances are it's because you run out of steam and don't really know where you're going next. That is a sign that you need to do a thought dump. So you open a Word document and you just write down any and all ideas you have about this story, no matter if they're good or bad. And you just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it until the general shape of a plot starts to appear. And like, even if you don't go further than that, even if you don't think you're not much of an outliner, simply doing a thought dump means that you have a well of sorry, I'm turning my phone on silent. Means that you have a well of ideas to draw from. And if you're not sure what happens next, you can go back to that thought dump and read it, and find that it, reminds you of some ideas you maybe forgot about, or helps you come up with new ideas as well. So yeah. Okay, has one more person donated to Project Samia? Yes! Thank you, Fiona Burt. Is Fiona Burt in the chat, or someone anyone knows? Yes, or they write and ruin some couples. Yes, I know. It's some, like, yeah, I know the state of queer representation still absolutely needs improvement, but like, at the same, like, even as someone who tends to prefer male female ships, I don't like calling them straight ships too much, because often male female ships can still be queer, and I like to write queer men and women in relationships together. But yeah, anyway, we've met the requirements. I gotta top up my tea, so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna come back and read to you the first 4.5 pages of the next video I'm filming, which is defending fan fiction tropes I hate. Okay, it's still on my face. Great. I thought I accidentally knocked it off. Yeah. Tea. We are back. We hath returned. It's also just a bit chilly in my hemisphere, so we're gonna wrap my leggies in a blankie. Okay, so the next script I'm writing, this next script, it's gonna cover, this snippet's gonna cover the intro and the first trope. There's gonna be 6 tropes in total. And yeah, I'm just gonna unplug my laptop because it's all charged. Yeah, okay. So here we go. Let's begin. So we've all heard of YouTube's predatory AI system demanding that grown adults submit their ID in order to prove that they're not a child. But what you might not have heard of is that they now also allow profanity in the first 30 seconds of your video. So to convince the algorithm that my channel is not for kids, let me just say, welcome back, you cheeky cunts, to another fucking video. Today, I'm gonna say some nice shit about the fanfic tropes I really fucking hate. Raise your hand if you have ever hated or cringed at a common trope in your fandoms. Now keep your hand raised if you are mature enough to recognize that just because something makes you cringe, that doesn't mean it's worthy of scorn. When it comes to tropes, particularly in fan fiction, a lot of them can be very popular, but also very popular to hate. And some people use that hate as an excuse to mock or belittle the people who do like it. When that happens, that doesn't stop people from reading or writing about those tropes. It just makes them too ashamed to be open about it. There are a lot of cringy tropes I hate too, but I actually think that destigmatizing them is the best way for someone like me to avoid them. If someone likes to write a trope you hate, then would you rather they be so ashamed that they try to hide the fact that it's in their fic? Or would you rather they feel secure enough to recognize and tag that trope so you can filter it out? That's why in this video, we are going to engage in a little exercise. I'm going to share some of my most hated fanfic tropes, why I don't like them, and why I think they're still worthy of respect or could be executed well, or just any redeeming qualities that are worth pointing out. I'm just going to fix an error there. Your dream fanfiction is not my dream fanfiction, and that's okay. Let's start off with some low-hanging fruit, shall we? Trope 1, reader inserts, self-inserts, and self-shipping. You know what I hate? Being the main character. You've got to save the world, learn how to control your epic powers. All these attractive people won't leave you alone. And worst of all, you need to be broadly relatable to a wide enough demographic. Ew. In all seriousness, it's not as if I've never fantasized about being a character in a story before, but something that's always been consistent is how those self-insert fantasies never held my attention for long. And that's because inserting a fictional version of myself into a source text has never made that world or the characters within it more interesting to me. Why should I ship myself with Link from Twilight Princess when he and Midna already have such a compelling dynamic brimming with story potential? Even if you pose polyamory as the solution and we ignore the fact that I myself am monogamous, what would I add to the story? What would be my thematic relevance? Why am I there? What's the point? I remember OT3 on Tumblr expressed this same sentiment, and a lot of people responded with something like, "This just sounds like you're insecure," but it's not insecurity. It's just someone explaining why inserting themselves into a story makes it less engaging for them. The thing is, characters are storytelling devices created to tell a specific narrative. I, however, am not a storytelling device. I am a real person that exists by pure chance in a reality that does not abide by storytelling principles. My traumas are not a traumatic backstory, my chronic pain doesn't exist to give me a character arc, and my fashion aesthetic is not some deep symbolism of a story's greater themes. All the things that define my life and all the ways I express myself are not something I feel compelled to put into a single character and insert into a story. Instead, I find it much more interesting to put pieces of myself into various characters whenever I feel like that will enhance the story I want to tell. In fact, as someone with a rather uncommon name, I can't even name a player character after myself, because every time I see anyone else referred to by my name with the same spelling, it feels like getting smacked by a deck chair, and then I want to steal the chair and smack them back twice as hard. Maybe the real reason why I can't self-insert is because I would just fight my self-insert. There can only be one Cora. By the way, this isn't self-hatred, this is toxic self-love. What was they doing again? Right, I'm supposed to be defending inserts, not assaulting mine with a deck chair. Let me just top up the tea quickly. My personal vendettas aside, there are readers and writers who do find it easier or more fun to invest in a story if they can see themselves as a character within it. In that way, reader inserts and self-inserts do exist as a storytelling device. They are a vessel for the reader or writer to immerse themselves further into a narrative they love. The idea of adding myself as a character might make a story seem boring or nonsensical to me, but to an avid self-insert, inserter, it gives them an opportunity to create and explore new dynamics with their favorite characters. Some writers do think of ways to have YN or the self-insert be core to the story they want to tell. And sometimes they just want to have some harmless, self-indulgent fun, which I am not above. I just seek a different flavor. Another thing worth mentioning is that self-inserts, reader inserts, and self-shipping have been genuinely helpful and healthy coping mechanisms for people struggling with social anxiety, abusive relationships, low self-esteem, and other mental health challenges. Imagining that you're dating a fictional character that wants the best for you could be what compels you to brush your teeth, eat some food, or put on clean clothes when that feels as difficult as scaling a mountain. When you feel like you're worthless or don't matter, envisioning yourself as the star of your favorite story can be a powerful way to counteract that. For marginalized people who don't see themselves represented in the media they love, self-insertion is a radical act of self-love and visibility. It's a refusal to be overlooked or erased. So while presenting me with a blank slate leaves me wondering why everyone in the story cares about a character that has no personality, even if that's by design, other people are able to slip into that character and fill in the empty space without issue, as the author intended. It just goes to show that what might throw me out of a story is what pulls someone else in deeper. I think I just realized the actual reason why reader inserts in particular might be bad. It's not because they're cringe or blank or whatever. It's because YN is presenting you with the chance to experience your wildest fantasies, but that is a siren's call. It is bait in the trap. YN offers you everything and asks for one thing in return: your name. YN was never a reader insert. YN is the Fae. Trope 2, arranged marriage. And that's the end. Maybe you want to be a blue or messy bun girl who got sold to One Direction. Honestly, you were so valid, Strawberry Moon. Yeah, I'm just looking through your reactions now. All hail the almighty cuppa and the leg blinky. Yes. Ayo. Hey. The YouTube AI slander. Yep. Sounds like the average Australian intro. Yep. Oh, I'm glad you like my stickers. I'm very inspired by Decora fashion, which is all about like wearing as many accessories as possible. And part of it also means putting a bunch of stickers on your face. That's not very sustainable, so I like to use craft gems instead because I can reuse them. YN truly is having their own arc. Yeah, YN is valid. I still don't like YN, but YN is still valid. Thank you. I'm glad you love the video script. It does get pretty heated. Like, oh my god, you should see some of the rants I have prepared for the character bashing section. And then I know me saying that I don't like arranged marriage is going to be a controversial opinion. But the thing about arranged marriage is it's literally like the complete opposite of my favorite trope of all time. So it basically like completely removes like what I find most appealing in ship fic. I can understand YM, but would never. Oh yeah, I do cover RPF in this script because I don't like RPF either, but I feel like there are still certain nuances with how the culture of RPF works that people often miss. And my whole case is like, yeah, if you're going to criticize RPF, at least make sure you understand RPF before you criticize it. Because like I said, I don't like it either. But I do think that at least the RPF community does genuinely try its best to do harm reduction. Yeah, arranged marriage. Yeah, I don't. I find arranged marriage boring. I just do. Like, oh my god, maybe this is kind of spoilers, but my problem with arranged marriage is that the conflict of arranged marriage is having to marry someone you don't love, and then you solve that conflict when the characters fall in love. I want the characters falling in love to make their problems worse. That's what I want. Have I ever cried reading my own writing? Oh my god. Usually I cry during the very occasionally I'll cry during the actual drafting process. But I have cried a few times while doing my own writing. I remember one of them, it was like this modern AU kind of, where it was like, what if your typical Legend of Zelda adventure took place in the modern day while the characters are still in high school? Which, yeah, like, I know it sounds kind of cringy, and it was like a self-indulgent kind of cringy fic, but I also think it had a lot of great things about it. And I remember there was this one moment where basically there was like this one character who, it gets a bit dark. It gets like, this does kind of cover a suicide attempt, so just brace yourself and feel free to exit from the stream for like the next few minutes or so if you need to. But I remember it was one where, you know, she had grown up with abusive parents, and in order to cope with that had a really abrasive personality that had led to her being mean to some people, especially when she was younger, and she felt a lot of guilt about that, and she ended up in this shadow temple where she was reminded of a lot of that and was essentially psychologically manipulated into almost injecting herself with this toxin that would have turned her into like a beast or something, and there would have been no way to come back from that. She'd just have to be killed in that state. And I remember this other character managed to stop her from doing that just in time, and she said, "Why are you trying to stop me? You know that I'm a horrible person." And he ended up listing all of these ways where she actually used her abrasive personality for good. And I remember he said, to most people, kindness is like safe and kind of weak and stuff, but to you, kindness is chaotic and controversial. You don't care if people think you're nice. And she said, "But I do. I care so much." And he said, "Okay, you're right, but you don't let it stop you." And that's the exact moment that took her off the edge. And I did cry over that when I wrote it. Yeah, so, okay then. You want to write a story about a person called YN who keeps getting possessed by different people? That would be so fun. You can understand YN, but would never do. Yeah. I think YN makes sense for some video game fandoms because in those games, the player is important to the story. Yeah. Link's also been a YN for most, like it's only been since Breath of the Wild when like you couldn't name him, because he was always intended to be a blank slate. But I actually like it when he does get to be a bit more fleshed out. I think even though you don't get to name him in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I think he's too blank because he's so emotionless and expressionless. And I know there's an in-universe reason for that, but I think when you're like, okay, spoilers for Breath of the Wild, I think when you're literally dying in someone's arms, you should be expressing something a bit more than just a poker face while going like, like, my big thing about Link is that in order for me to be able to connect with him without having to project onto him, but in order for other people to still have room to project onto him, which is what Nintendo wants, that's what he's for, Link should express emotions, but he should express whatever emotions it is that the game is already evoking in the player. Or at least trying to evoke in the player. Like, if the game wants you to feel angry, we should see that Link is also angry. That's what, whereas, like, you know, if the game wants me to be sad and he, over the fact that he's literally dying and he's, well, Link's gender fluid. We can call Link whatever pronouns. Yeah, it's one of those things. I read a note on AO3 and find it creepy that someone wrote a not safe for work about a celeb. It grossed me out. Yeah, that's Yeah, that's the big thing about RPF. Is like I get that it's supposed to be a fictionalized version of someone, but also writing not safe for work. Like when you write about people who are strictly fictional, you know, they aren't like real people. They're not real people that you're um objectifying. But another nuance I try to keep in mind is a lot of the time these celebrities do try to create like the fantasy of, oh, I could be your partner, I could be your, you know, lover or something. And RPF just ends up being one way that people actually explore that connection. And this is what I mean when I say RPF is complicated. It really depends. Like, I would be freaked out if people were writing RPF about me, but I don't know if people were writing RPF about Cora Sue from the last video, I might not mind that as much. Oh, you love Breath of the Wild because you truly can pretend you're in Link's shoes and can pretend what emotions you would have. Yeah, I'm the opposite. I need Link to express emotions on his own because otherwise I feel disconnected. Whereas, like, at least I think in Skyward Sword, Link was a bit too expressive, but in Twilight Princess, I truly felt like I was very much aligned with Link's emotions because, like, the emotions he expressed were the emotions I felt. While playing that game. Whereas, like I said, in Breath of the Wild, I hate how expressionless Link is. Like, usually when he is expressive, it's usually just when he's cooking a meal or when a great fairy is, I don't think I want to say what it's implied that she does to him. I don't want to. Yeah. But then during, like, the actual big story cutscenes, Link just doesn't express anything. I don't get any vibe that he has any opinion about what's going on and happening around him whatsoever. And I just cannot connect to that at all. Oh, yeah. Do not write RPF about your friends or your teachers or anything. Yeah. I'm cool with silent protagonists as long as we can tell how they're feeling too. Yeah. And then there's my fandom where people keep on arguing over which protagonist's name is the canon name. Oof. Oof. Yeah, I'm in another fandom where there is kind of a similar thing that goes on. It's not for a video game. It's for Spy Family, where you know, we don't actually know what Agent Twilight's original name ever is. So sometimes in fanfics, they'll just have in square brackets, anytime they want to refer to him by his actual name, in square brackets, they just have redacted in all caps. And it's so weird reading a fanfic that's like, and then redacted kissed his wife or something. And I hate it. I really hate it. Okay. I honestly prefer to stick with the headcanon that I like to stick with the headcanon that maybe he's forgotten the first name that he ever had. And so there's no reason for him to be referred to as redacted then, because he just doesn't remember that name. I'd much rather he just becomes Lloyd Forger for real. Or we just call him Twilight, you know? You really like the headcanon that Link started being more expressive after his death in Breath of the Wild. That's fair, but, you know, he still isn't very expressive even after his death, and I just don't like that. I do not like that. Like, some of your favorite media are the ones where you don't fully know how the MC feels. Yeah. like I said, I just need that more because I already gave you a whole thing about why I just struggle to self-insert. Like I'm not interested in that. Interested in self-inserting because like I'm not the puppet master. I'm not the actor. I'm the puppet master, you know? That's what I feel like. I don't feel like I'm a character in the story. I just feel like I'm the puppet master controlling the character in the story, which, you know, makes Deltarune a particularly interesting experience. Okay, like, yeah, Chris, I love when you rebel against me. Do it more. Do it more. Twyforger. Yes, Twyforger. Yeah, he has too many name changes, so he doesn't remember all of them. Yeah, I don't think he'd necessarily remember all of them. But him not even remembering like his own original name. Like this is kind of spoilers for the manga. But I'm pretty sure it'll be like the very first arc that the next season of the anime covers. We do get Lloyd's backstory, and every time he's referred to by his original name, it's literally just blacked out in the manga panels. It's really interesting. So I'm wondering how they're gonna cover censoring it in the anime. I think they're just gonna bleep it out every time it's mentioned. I do like the headcanon that his original name is James, as a way to complete the James Bond references trifecta, because you have the dog called Bond, and also Bond Man. You have Anya, who is Subject 007, and then you can have Twilight's original name be James to complete the James Bond Agent 007. Yeah. Also, you are a spy. You aren't supposed to remember your whole past before becoming a spy. Well, you're supposed to pretend that you don't remember your whole past. Sometimes actual spies do use their past to their advantage, though. But yeah, I do. But it is something that Twilight specifically had to set aside. And yeah. You're in some video game fandoms where there is wars over the protagonist is male or female. It's an RPG. Excuse me. Honestly, Deltarune's kind of like that as well. People argue like over the gender of Chris when Chris is canonically non-binary. Like, and Chris has made it very clear that they are not a vessel for the player. Yeah, legal name wise. Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, I am a fan of like if Twilight, if we have to give Twilight his original name or guess what his original name was, I do like the headcanon that his original name is James. Yeah. The stream's ending soon, so we're probably not going to have time to do another random plot generator, but we probably have time for a few more questions if people want them. Yeah, we do have different ways of interacting with media. That's why I prefer the idea of Link expressing whatever emotions the game is trying to evoke in the player, because I feel like that's the best middle ground for me to be able to connect with him, but also for people who can self-insert easier to also be able to connect with him. Like, I think that's the best middle ground, because Link's always been intended to be a self-insert, a blank slate. That's part of why I find it so interesting to read and write fan fiction about him, because there's a lot of room to interpret and flesh out his character. But again, I kind of need a few more seeds than what Breath of the Wild gave me. Like, I still need to feel attached to him, like I do with Twilight Princess Link. Yeah, the stream. Okay. Yeah. Anyone got a few final questions they want to ask? Okay, then. Is there anything that turns you off from a fic that isn't grammar or formatting issues related? Oh, that's a good question. Protagonist-centered morality, for one, is a big one. You know, if I feel like the author is so attached to their main character that they clearly have a bias that honestly makes that character seem kind of like a dick. Like, you know, I remember there was this, like, usually I don't read Zelda and Link fan fiction. They are like my no TP, but occasionally I'll read it if I felt like it would work. But I remember I was reading this fan fiction that just where Zelda like had, I don't know, some mean girl rival for Link's heart or something, and the way she talked about this girl just it rang as misogynistic in a way that um it felt like this wasn't going to be something that the character was going to learn from and overcome. Like just kind of this girl on girl hate. And the other thing was like the way that Zelda was characterized in this fic felt so much more like Midna. And it's like, why are you making this a Z-Link fic? If this was a mid-link fic, it well, for one, if it was a mid-link fic, because Midna goes through such amazing character development, I'd probably have a bit more confidence that this protagonist of yours would get over her internalized misogyny issues. Yeah, so I don't like fics that have far too much favoritism. I also just cannot with fics where they don't really take the time to make the canon characters feel fleshed out and well-rounded, because bear in mind, you know, like I said, Link's kind of a blank slate, but also, you know, sometimes the way that even my favorite, most well-rounded characters are written about, it still feels kind of flat. And I get that with fanfic, you're able to be more forgiving of that because technically you've already got canon giving that context, but like, I don't know. I guess I just kind of want every fanfic I read to be a character study in some way. Like, it's not enough, for example, for me to just see my OTP being like cute together or my favorite characters just existing on the page. Like, I want to see like what I want to see exactly who this author thinks these characters are rather than just use them as like Barbie dolls to play out a particular popular fanfic scenario, you know? Um No, you're fine, Drowning Devil. Okay, when I remember when I was a kid, I would make up whole characters just to try and get the plot and characters to do what I want. Honestly, valid. Honestly, valid. I've always like usually when I think of myself in self-insert scenarios nowadays, I like to think of myself as like a kind of joke background character. Like I remember in like the Midlink server that I'm in, it's like a fandom specific server for people who ship my OTP. I had this whole joke where I'd replace this character called Giovanni, who is at the center of this quest where he sold his soul for riches. And basically, Link and Midna have to hunt around for all these Poe souls in order to free him of this curse that's basically turned him into solid gold. And I thought it would have been, and I had like this joke going on that like, oh, I sold my soul to commission a bunch of Midlink fan art that's on display around the room. And when Midna and Link come into that room to activate the side quest and stuff, they just see a bunch of fan art around of them kissing. It's not something I'd actually include in a story. Actually, one thing I did include in earnest, in complete seriousness, is in my main fic, I didn't insert myself as a character. I did insert my little kitty cat Kip. So Kip is a character in my fan fiction. She bit my Blorbo's finger because that's in character for her to do. Okay, advice for staying motivated on a long fic. Honestly, I'd say you've just got to feed the hyperfixation as much as possible. Okay, if you have a piece of art that's related to your fic, make that your phone lock screen. Make playlists about your fic and then listen to it on loop and everything. And also find people who enjoy your fic that you can talk about your fic with, or people who share your same fanish interest or hyperfixation. Like, I don't think I would have gone as far as I am right now if I didn't have like the midlink server to chat with, or like other people I knew I could talk to about like some fun update I thought of. Like, you really need to create a you need to be able to surround yourself with motivating forces in order to stay motivated, I think. And I think also part of it is I know that sometimes hyperfixations and special interests fade. So sometimes I write as much of a story as possible so that I can basically race to get as much of it done before the hyperfixation starts to fade, you know? If that makes sense. OOC when it's unintended is an instant turn off for me. Yes, that's honestly such a big thing. Is like, there are so many tropes that honestly, when they're done on purpose, they're great. Okay? But when they're done unintentionally, they are the worst and they suck. And you know, that's a big reason why I hate protagonist-centered morality so much, because I genuinely believe no one ever writes it on purpose. Okay? And that's why it's so bad, is because no one ever writes it on purpose. You can only write protagonist-centered morality if you are that unself-aware and that unable to separate yourself from the protagonist. And you just see them as like, oh, everyone should support the protagonist and think they're right in everything they do, even if you look at this from an outsider perspective, from the perspective of literally any other character, and realize, oh, hey, they're actually kind of a dick, you know? Of course, I never attack like any fanfic writers who do this, because if I'm reading a fic that I don't like, I just leave it alone. The only time I'll ever comment any sort of criticism is if I any kind of unsolicited criticism is, number one, if there are just like simple typos that need to be fixed, because that's kind of the equivalent of just politely letting someone know that there's something stuck in their teeth or their fly is down. Like, it's actually something that's always helpful. And then the other thing is, if I think a story is actually playing into some problematic portrayals, particularly of marginalized folks, that's when I think is genuinely mishandling sensitive subject matter, that's when I'll bring it up. Because as much as I respect and follow the no unsolicited concrete rule, I also think when we just let insensitive, problematic portrayals, and I mean specifically, I know depiction does not equal endorsement. I know there's a lot of nuances for why people write the stuff that they write, but I mean something like, you know, a big thing, I know Stitch, from Stitch's Media Mix and also from Vogue's fan service column, talks about is the prevalence of racism in fandom and how important it is that we point it out whenever we see racist fan works and people excusing racism in fandom. And I remember there was this one fanfic I read. It was an Ocarina of Time fanfic shipping Milan and Link together. And I love Milan and Link. It's a great ship, a great couple. But the thing is that there was kind of like this Gerudo OC who would be kind of like the slutty temptress towards Link. And if you remember, the Gerudo are a race of brown women who live in the desert. They're very Orientalist, and they're very Orientalist in their portrayal, and a lot of negative stereotypes with them. And you know, it felt like this writer really leaned into that and did like this very racist portrayal in, you know, oh, you have the sweet, virginal, innocent, white-skinned Milan, and then you have like this evil, slutty brown woman. And it's like, yeah. So I did make a comment pointing that out, and I don't know if the writer ever saw it. They never responded, but yeah. You definitely see a lot of, so Dino Gurchen. I definitely see a lot of OC not done on purpose with the most popular ships, where you can tell the writer has a trope they like and they're trying to squeeze their favorite ships into it, but it doesn't necessarily work with the shipping quest. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Like that can be really tough, because I think having those stock fanfic situations that you put characters into, they can be fun. It can be really fun to see how these particular characters would fit in this particular stock scenario. But for me, you really need to center this character's individual behaviors and beliefs and ways of acting in order to make that stock situation feel unique, rather than just, yeah, put those characters in that situation. And yeah, it's ugh. Like Only One Bed is a big example of this, and I actually do talk about that in the sequel to Defending Fanfiction Tropes I Hate, which is trashing fanfiction tropes I love. And one of the fanfic tropes I love that I'm trashing is Only One Bed. Like, that's a self-indulgent trope I love, but also I'm very much, I feel like you need to use it to achieve, like, you need to use the strengths of the trope in order to create development, because that's something that all forced proximity tropes are great at. Yeah. Due to my fanfic, my MCs are going to a dance. They just ran into one of the MC's exes, and she's like, "Oh, you're going together? Cool." Yeah, sometimes exes can be fun. Yeah, jealousy in fanfic is also one of those jealousy among shippers in fanfic is also one of those things where, like, I love jealousy when it's portrayed as something that a character knows that they feel and just has to deal with it, but they don't make it like anyone else's problem. Like, I love portrayals of jealousy that way. Okay, I love when characters are jealous, but they genuinely try to be as mature as possible when it comes to their jealousy, because I think that's really human. I love when characters maybe have these selfish impulses or emotions that they choose not to act on. Why is there 3 beds? I asked for one. That would be so funny. I think there was, like, in one of Coley Does Things skip videos, she did a video on, like, reverse fanfic tropes, and one of them was too many beds, and one of the characters was like, "Oh my god, this is great. We can, like, choose which bed we like best." And the other character was like, "Fuck, I don't get to share a bed with them." We're a bit over time, so I think there's, like, room for one more question. If anyone wants to ask one more question, and then we'll end things. My tea's already cold again. No more questions? Oh, yes, you can ask the question, Core. That was the question. Okay. So what I'm getting is, I should be ending the stream. I should actually have some breakfast, because I had to get up at like 6 a.m. to get ready and start the stream at 7. Okay. And then, yeah, I should hopefully be filming soon. Depends on exactly when my sibling Hazel Curls is. Yes, we do have a comedian in the chat. Okay. So, thank you everyone for showing up to my first ever live stream. I hope we all had fun. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Thank you for helping out by donating to Project Samia, or sharing it around. And also, thank you for signing that petition to get rid of YouTube's stupid AI. And please do sign it if you haven't already. And thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. I had a great time. All right then. But wait, I should do the video outro. Okay then. What was it? I swear I have it memorized. Okay then. And that's the end of the stream. Kudos for watching. Kudos for doing all of the calls to action. Kudos for participating, and extra kudos if I mean, most of you are already subscribed, but if you've also hit the bell so that you can get notified when I share more tips on how to write and post your dream fan fiction. I will see you in my next video. But in the meantime, happy fic writing!